Hello, this is the Provoked Prawn and this is the Lenovo Legion Y530. This is an overview video to talk to you about the highlights and lowlights of the Legion Y530. I will be doing a more in-depth review shortly. I've been playing with this laptop for about a week now and wanted to give you some overviews of what it's like to use. Now this is a reasonably affordable gaming laptop that comes in at around £749 for the base model and goes up to about £900 or $1,000 for the Core i7 version. It's worth noting that the Core i7 version only comes with 16 gigs of RAM maximum, and the Core i5 has 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is pretty paltry, and that's a low light definitely for a start. Also, it only comes with the 10 series graphics cards, so this one has a 1050, but you can get the 1060 and a 1050 Ti as different options. It does, however, have a really nice design to it that includes this really cool ridged backing with the Legion logo on it, and numerous inputs which make it pretty interesting. You'll see on the back as DisplayPort Mini, USB-C, HDMI out, a USB port, an Ethernet port, and the proprietary power cable. Also has USB inputs on the left and right side, one on each, so you don't get a mass of inputs, but it is a compact 15-inch laptop, so you wouldn't expect the earth from it. Another highlight of this device is it comes with a PCIe NVMe SSD as the main boot drive, and then a larger drive for your games. One thing that's weird is that it's got this hinge effect to it that opens all the way flat, and you can question why it does that, because it doesn't have a touch screen, so it doesn't convert into a tablet. It just goes flat for some reason, not really sure why. The screen is actually surprisingly good though, and I'll show you a bit later on what that's like. It does get quite bright, very bright in fact. However, I have seen some problems with it which I'll go into. Now styling wise, it's pretty neat. It's got this sort of vinyl finish to it on the top and back that looks pretty cool. As I said, it's got the Legion logo on it, and the little Legion logo emblem in the middle of the O actually lights up when it's turned on as well, which looks quite nice. It lights up white, quite subtle. And that is the thing with this laptop. It's very subtle. It's not your usual in-your-face, large, loud and proud gaming laptop. It's quite understated. And that goes through into the keyboard, which has backlight lighting on it, but only white. And there's only 3 levels of brightness. And as you can see, it looks pretty swish because the keys have this white accent around the outside of them, and you can see underneath them slightly if you're looking at the right angle, which means you can see a bit of the light bleed, and it looks pretty good. It looks quite bright at night, and during the day it's not too obnoxious. It is just white though. Another highlight, as I said, is the NVMe drive, which means that it boots up in around 8 to 10 seconds, depending on how you count, and so you get into Windows fairly quickly, as you can see there. The addition of the extra hard drive means you have plenty of room for your Steam library, or a reasonable amount of room anyway. I soon filled up the small-ish hard drive. You can get up to 512 gigabytes as the main boot drive. Now, one low light is the webcam, which is ridiculously placed at the bottom of the screen here, and they've done that obviously to keep it out of the way of the top bezel and give you more screen real estate, but what that does mean is when you use it you get this, which is pretty silly. If you're ever on a conference call or a Skype call or anything like that, then you just look ridiculous. If you were trying to use this camera for streaming while gaming also, you would look very silly, so I'm not sure why they did that on a gaming laptop. It's just a bit annoying. The compact keyboard layout also means you get the numpad in this very strange way where it doesn't quite have all the keys that you're used to, and it's also positioned a bit oddly. I found the trackpad is slightly off to the left as well, which you do see on some laptops, but I found a bit unusual and a bit strange, especially with the numpad design. So it takes a bit of getting used to. However, the keyboard is quite nice, quite comfortable to use. The trackpad is quite responsive, although I wouldn't recommend it for gaming, and you plug in a mouse for that anyway. Now, one of the problems I wanted to highlight with the screen is the light bleed down the bottom. So here I am playing Cuisine Royale, and if you look closely you can see some light bleed from the bottom of the panel. It's actually quite obvious, especially if you play the game, you know what it looks like. Now this is also a 144Hz screen, but bearing in mind that it's only running a Core i5 8GB of RAM and an NVIDIA 1050 GPU. I don't really understand why they put a 144Hz screen in there, because you're not very often going to hit 144Hz unless you're playing pretty low quality games on very low settings. It did manage a reasonable amount, but... And you can see a close-up view of the light bleed here. You can see it's quite bad. I haven't noticed it too much in other games, I must admit. I'll show you some other footage from Rainbow Six Siege where it's not quite as bad. I feel like you do still see it. Worth noting, I'm testing audio for a headset in this video as well, multitasking, so that's why you can't hear any sound, but the speakers are actually pretty good. The fan noise isn't too bad, however it does get very, very hot on your lap. The exhaust gets pushed out of the rear, and it does quite a good job of keeping it nice and cool when it's on the desk, and reasonably quiet, but I did find after a short period of gaming on my lap it got almost unbearable. In the winter it'd probably be pretty nice, but this time of year it was really hot on the old legs, which was not much fun at all. However, on reasonably high settings, pretty sure this is on very high, Rainbow Six Siege is just under 100 FPS, so not too bad. So I suppose you could argue the 144Hz screen is worthwhile there. However, in most games, especially newer games, it's going to struggle to get a high enough FPS to warrant a high refresh rate. All in all, for its price point and the specs, it's not too bad. It's not necessarily future-proof, but if you're not too bothered about running games on ultra or very high, and you just want something that's affordable, looks good, and is fun to play with, then the Lenovo Legion Y530 is probably for you. I'll include the specs and a link to where to buy from and to find out more information about this laptop in the description. Be sure to have a look. Also check out my other reviews on recent gaming laptops that are a bit more high-end, including the ROG Scar 3, which is a beast. This has been The Provoked Prawn. Hope you found this video useful, interesting or hilarious. Be sure to subscribe and check out these other videos, as well as taking a look in the description for links and information you might find useful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or anything you'd like to see extra about this, and have a great life.